show you how to remove an axle shaft from the front of a Jeep Dana 30, also the stock 44. Procedure's the same deal. So I just pulled this out. Now I'm going to show you how I did it. Alright, so step one is to get tire off the ground. I could be using a high lift jack to do this, but to be honest, using a high lift jack in the garage is something I don't generally do, and I guess if you're on the trail you would be using a high lift. I could have a whole separate video segment, and maybe I will, about how to use a high lift jack safely. But for today's fix, you're just going to have to deal with me using a floor jack, because I don't feel like having a Jeep follow me. Alright, so step one is lift up the Jeep. Noticed I've got things staged already, so this will be quicker. So I'm going to get this lifted up and get a jack stand underneath it right away. Yes, I'm going to use air tools to take the tire off, just for the sake of speed here. Okay, the tire out of the way. Now let's lower this onto the jack stand so we have less to think about. So from here on, I'm going to use mostly hand tools, as much of a pain in the butt as they might be. First thing you got to do is get the brake hardware off. Now, my plan here is, so I'll show you this as we go, but these studs are mounted to a hub assembly, like this one. This one's no good, as you can see from how much it wobbles. But the axle shaft goes through the center of this hub assembly, and that's the outer shaft, that is. That's also what most commonly breaks, is the outer shaft, because they're smaller. What we're going to do is, so a great way to carry spares is to have spares with the hub assembly already attached. Then all you have to do is pull the shaft and the hub assembly right out. You don't have to deal with the spindle nut, because the spindle nut is huge and difficult to get off without air tools. Now, maybe you have air tools when you're on the trail. I carry air tools with me, and an air compressor, but not everybody does. So, first thing to do is to get the brake hardware out of the way. If you were taking the hub assembly off because you don't have a shaft with a hub assembly already on it, you pull out this cotter pin, pull off this protector, and then right there is the nut. Have someone stand on the brakes before you take the brake hardware off, and that'll hold this solid. Then you can take a breaker bar or something and break the nut free. I'm not going to do that today, simply because, well, I don't need to, because I'm not going to be taking the spindle off, or the hub assembly off of the outer. So obviously, we have to take the brake caliper off to get the rotor off. So, to do that, we have our handy dandy C-clamps. I keep C-clamps with me on the trail. You should too, because you never know, you're going to have to pull your brakes off. Besides, they have lots of other great uses. This doesn't take much. Anybody who's ever replaced brakes can tell you that. You just need to take the pressure off of here. Just do it. You can see how it's spinning freely now. Okay, that's loosened up. Now, two 1/2-inch bolts that run through the calipers. They're usually nice and tight, as they should be. Shouldn't take a hammer to get off. As you can see, I'm just hitting it with my hand to break them free. This is where air tools would come in handy. So I wouldn't have to ratchet this like this. One. Not quite. Better. Alright, I got both of them out. Lay them right there where I'm not going to lose them. And this should come right off of here. I keep a brass hammer with me just in case. I don't know if I'm going to need it today. Oh. The upper side of the caliper is keyed so it stays on there. The lower side is not. Now we got to put the caliper someplace where it's not going to dangle by the brake line or fall off on us. It'll probably fall anyway, but that's a good start. Okay, now this can come right off. See all the crud that has accumulated behind my brake rotor? As clean as I try to keep this thing, just uphill battle. Okay, next is there's star-headed bolts that go through this hub assembly. You have a 12-pointed socket. They come right off. Now again, these should be snug. You may need a breaker bar to get them free, and because of that, I have one right here. Of course, getting a breaker bar in here is not a treat. That's pretty tight. Mainly because there's so much crud on here. Something worth noting is the position of these shields. I always get them wrong when I put them back on. Okay. Now you would think that once these bolts were out, these things would practically fall off. Well, not so. What it takes now is some persuasion. There we go. Simple, right? And there you have it. You want an next? Okay, so of course this shaft isn't broken. So what I'm going to do is put it back in. So basically, once I pulled it out, the backing plate came right off. It just slides off the shaft. It fits on this way. Yeah, just like that. That's got these holes for the mounting that we took out. Now, to put everything back together, we're basically going to slide this back over the axle shaft, which is where it came off of. There we go. And then this slides right back in here. Line these up right away before we put everything together. Now that mates right back in there with the differential. This you spin until it lines back up with those holes. As you might guess, that's sometimes difficult to get just right. There we go, that should do it. And these just slide right back in here. Now this is all machined, so there's very little room for cross-threading or error. So sometimes it's difficult to get this lined back up and threaded properly. I find the easiest way to get it done is to leave a little bit of space here so you can wiggle this bearing assembly around. Once you get everything threads started, it's pretty easy. It seems to be started. Let's get the bottom one here. Okay, there. I think so. Yeah, we basically just do everything that we just did in reverse, minus all the hammering. feel quite right. Could just be from all the crud in those threads, but be sure not to cross thread anything. Okay, all three are started. Basically, the rest of this job is to just reassemble everything. It's a matter of getting those tight, getting getting the rotor back on, and then putting the brakes back on. And that should do it. That's how you remove and replace an axle shaft, or for that matter, a hub assembly on the Jeep D30 or 44. Thanks for watching.